Hello everybody, my name is Jan Dufour and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US, located close to Louisville, Kentucky. As I said, some of my previous ones, I am done with the jazz hands and I'm just going to have Henry, my hedgehog, introduce us, and then I will tell Henry to go away and have a nap. Today we're going to be making the note card that is posted and has been posted. I made a video and the first one I made was in Coastal Cabana and I don't know what happened to that. The second one I did was with this Flirty Flamingo and I had difficulty loading it. I'm still new at video and vlogging, so anyway, I had a personal thing and I couldn't get it done, so I'm redoing it because apparently that video is not friendly to being uploaded. So these are some of the things we're going to be using. We're going to use Free as a Bird, but we're not doing any of that except for the sentiment, Thanks for Being You. It's a very nice set though. It's a new set. You've never seen this. This is in the new catalog, which all I can show you of the new catalog is a project that I might have made, and the beautiful cover which says Creativity is Calling. It's a great catalog. I'm really excited about that. Of course, I like all of their catalogs. They always have things that I need to have. We're going to be using the Blueberry Bushel as one of the colors. We're going to be using Sprig and perennial flowers. And we're also going to be using things like Perennial Essence Floral Centers. Obviously, we're going to be making a flower. I don't know if you figured that out yet, but here we go. I'm going to cut the DSP first before I actually start. And in the directions, it says if there is a directional look to your paper, this is kind of directional, kind of goes up that way, that you want the longest piece, or let me get this back for you, the longest piece to be vertical. So in this case, I want 2 1/4 inches this way, or I'm sorry, this way, and 4 3/4 this way, so that you get the flowers going in the correct direction. So we're going to cut this at 2 1/4. And I am trying purposefully to get some of the Blueberry Bushel, which is one of the coordinating colors. Might be a little bit too much of that. So maybe I'll take this side. We want to get some of the pretty flowers in. And then that is 4 3/4. So we'll line that up there. I think that that'll have the right amount of colors. It's kind of fun when you have a montage. Just reminds me of fine art. And there, you can put these on the front, and then you need one more piece for the back, which is going to be 5 by 3 1/2. So let's see what I have here. I do not have what I need. So we're going to take another piece, and we're going to cut 3 1/2. I don't know if you've heard the buzz, but apparently our Stampin' Trimmer is going to be going away. Unable to get the manufacturer to do what we need done, so we are going to be producing something else, and it's a secret, and even I don't know. So we did that, and now we need it by 5, and that'll go over the back, and that'll be so pretty. This is really beautiful paper. We'll put those to the side, and I'll get rid of all of this stuff. So these will be ready to put on our box once we make our box. So let's go ahead and make our box. So we're going to start with, get my instructions so I know what I am doing. That's always good. All right, so we're going to take our Simply Score, which is not going away, thank goodness, because I use it all the time. And we're going to score on the 8 1/2 inch side at 5/8. 1 5/8, 6 7/8, and 7 7/8. And then we're going to rotate the cardstock. On the 11-inch side, we're going to score at 2 5/8. And all of these directions are on the website, so you don't have to be scurrying to write it around. You might just want to sit back and enjoy it. The next one is at 3 5/8. And then 7 3/8. And the final one is at 8 3/8. Now, we're going to put a tick mark on this side. A tick mark is just the ball of your, and I'm going to use the smaller side, the ball of your scoring tool, and you're just going to press into it. And we're going to do that at 1 inch. So we do it at 1 inch, and we do it at 4 1/4, right there. And that's all it is. You'll be able to find it when you need it. And then also we're going to flip it and do it again at 1 inch and at 4 1/4. And you'll see why we need that. I'll bring it up to, let's see if I can get some more light in here and see if you can see that little tick mark. I think I've got it. All right, so we have all of our scoring done. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the Simply Score. Did you hear? That went right down on my floor. Good place for it. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to fold and burnish all of our fold marks. And this is really important, especially when you're making boxes, because if they don't sit right, it's quite annoying. So we're going to get all 4 of those like this, and then all 4 of these, and one more here. Turn. All right. So we're going to put the little tick marks, we're going to call this part the top. So the template that you see on our website shows right here is where we make the tick mark. And the reason we need it is because we're going to be cutting at an angle, and I'll show you as I'm cutting, but as your scissors come here, you're going to turn and cut at this one. And the little tick marks just help with that diagonal. You could eyeball it and it would work just as well. I've done it that way as well, but it is a little bit easier if you have the tick mark. All right, so now we're going to take our tear and tape, and again, let me get the back here. So the gray, you cut it away completely. The green, which is on here, is to be on the inside of the box, and you have to, it's after the measurement of the length of the other set of tapes. So what happens is this is going to come up like this, okay? And of course they'll be cut. And so we don't want the tape that's over here to be longer than this, because then it'll stick out over here and it'll be sticky. So that's basically what that means. And then the blue is actually on the reverse side, okay? So let's go ahead, put our tear and tape. You'll notice that on this side, we're putting it, like I said, we can't make it, we have to make this the length of this and no more. So first thing I'm going to do is figure out where my tear and tape starts, and I'm going to just turn it sideways and kind of measure. Doesn't have to be perfect. I don't want it longer than that when I put it down. So I am going to go ahead and put it, oops, where's that? It's hard to see at an angle. Right here. Oops, no, I'm not. Right here. There we go. All right, so it's obviously about the same side on the other side as well. So we're putting down, and because it's a box, I'm using 2. Really, if you put it on the outside, you could probably get away with not having it be that long. I'm just being careful and remeasuring to make sure I did it right the first time. and put that down here. And you'll notice after I place the tape, I do rub it down. Some people burnish it. I don't really think that's necessary, but it does need to be pressed down because when you go to take up the tape, you put both sides up. And of course you want one side stuck down here. All right, so we've done this section. We're gonna flip it over and do these. So let's see if I can leave this kind of in the light. And then we'll flip it over, remembering where the top is, which is here. So now I'm going to put tape along the outer side, right, not right there, right there. And one right here. And it is really tearing tape. You can really tear it. And then on the other side, oh, you know what? I just put some wonderful tearing tape. I love it when I mess up because I think people think that the people on that do videos are perfect. No. Even my upline, who's like beyond awesome, messes up. This part's going to be torn off, so it's not going to help me very much, is it? So let me go ahead and just put some more over here where it really counts. And we'll just cut away those two little pieces. There's no way that tape is coming off, so we will not mess with it. I thought they were awful close together, but then when I talk, I don't always pay attention to what I'm saying. All right, so again, we have put it here. Notice we're cutting this section off. We know that we have this stuff on the other side. So the only thing that's left is to put them on the tabs up here and here. But since we haven't cut yet, I'm going to put this down and go ahead and start doing the cutting. So as you can see, this section here is completely cut out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this away. And cut this side away. And actually, I'm going to need my snips. I use the bigger scissors for when I'm cutting longer lengths, but I really do need my Stampin' Up! Scissors for the rest of this. Now this one here, remember that we had the notch, and we're cutting this off. So we're going to go from the notch to the flap, and then we're going to cut this part off until we get to the notch. And when we get to the notch, we're going to stop and turn it sideways and go to this corner. You see how that came out? That's what the notches were for. So on this side, again, I think you can see this. Yes, we're going to cut this out completely, which we did. Now this one, we start with the angle. And so we look for the notch on this side. There it is right there. So we are going to cut from here, from the notch, up to the flap, and then straight ahead until we get to the next notch, which is right here. Just making sure that you can see what I'm doing. I do have it in camera. And there we go to the corner. So as you can see, it wasn't absolutely perfect. We didn't draw any lines and make sure that we carried it, but by doing the notches, we're going to have a very even looking edge, and that works out really well. So now we have to cut the flaps. So the first part of the flaps is also being cut away, so we can cut this off. And then you'll notice that we also have very poor grade triangles, because I don't know what software other people use, but I was using Excel because that's the only way I knew how to manipulate boxes. But anyway, a little tough to get out what you want. But as you can see, I think you can see that, yeah. So I've cut out notches. That just helps the box be smoother, if you will. It fits together better. So I'm cutting down the tab. I'm cutting this part off. Sometimes I cut that off at the same time as this, but sometimes that confuses me. So I just left it this time for later. And then we're notching in, and it doesn't have to be a lot. As a matter of fact, you don't really want it to be a lot. But you do need it to go all the way to the end, Jan. There we go. All right. So we've notched that one. We'll go over here. This one doesn't have a longer tab. It's just the right size. I'm going right to the end. Right to the end, and then we're going to notch and notch. All right. Not everybody notches when they make their boxes, and I don't know. I've seen them done both ways. I prefer to notch. If you decide that you don't like the way you notch and it's not working out for you, then by all means, ignore the notch. That is not an integral part of the box. All right. So now that we have tabs, we can actually put our tear and tape on it. So let me get rid of my garbage. And I'm going to be like Julia Childs, throw it on the floor, but I didn't actually. All right. So we have these. We need tabs done. So we will put, oops, it's better if I do it sideways. We will put one here. And if I can figure out how to speed up the video on this section, I will. But again, I'm kind of new to this. I finally got my blog up last year. That was my goal. And then this year is to learn how to do videos and manipulate them, etc. So I'm still in the learning process. We're going to do this one. And this one. And then we're going to do two more and we're done. All right, now we're going to start making our box. Put the tear and tape away. So remember I told you have to kind of press this all down. I use the piercing tool just because it makes it easier to flip off. The first thing you want, again, figure out where's your top. This is there. So the first thing I want to do is turn this up and attach the edge of the box. And once I have both of those up, then I'm going to bring this around and take off the rest of this tape so it sticks there and sticks there. So let's just do the tabs first. I'll lay it down. See how easy the tape comes off when you do it this way. And so if you're struggling, just remember you got a picky tool that you can use. I've seen it done with scissors, with our scissors too. It's got to be pointy though, so it can kind of slice in between. All right, so again, the first thing I'm going to do is turn it up, and I want this line to be even with the bottom of the box. So I'm going to do this, and there you go. And on this side, same thing. This corner, whoops, this corner has to line up with this. And so we turn it like this. So we have the front part of the box done. So next, we're going to take off this here. And this one. And I always do both sides. I don't know why. Sometimes I might even get in the way if I do both sides, but I still do both sides anyway. I guess try to keep myself in control and to know where I'm at. Okay, so I'm laying it down along this line, measuring it up, and then putting the box like this. Then you can kind of stick your finger in there, make sure it sticks. Again, this line right up to, I want to hold it close to my body, but that doesn't work out for you so much, so I'm trying not to do that. Okay, so now we've just got these two flaps, and we're going to go ahead and take that off. And we're going to lay it down. Now remember when we measured for the length? The reason is we didn't want this to have tape on it. And you'll notice mine ends early. It just fits down nicely. And it's not so important that it be exactly the length. You'll notice a little bit shorter here. It's really just to relieve some of the pressure in here. Do you remember we've got tape in this section? When you stuff this full of cards, it has a little bit of pressure by wrapping this around and taping it separately. Kind of gives it a little bit of extra strength to stay together properly. And then we just fold it over and press it down. Okay, so we get that section done. Man, I'm making a mess. Okay, next one, the top, we're just going to match this edge to this edge, and that will make the top. So let's go ahead and take off, oops. Okay, this is an example of when the tape is not stuck down enough. And take this one off. Yep, this one's definitely, well, stuck. Oh, there we go. You always have to have one that's just gonna bother you. I'm flipping this box all over. I hope it's not making you dizzy. I think as long as the camera's still, you're not supposed to get dizzy. I'll check it out afterwards. If I get dizzy, I'll redo it. All right, so remember now, we're not trying to put that down in the box section. This is to make the top flap. So, you put it together. And you put this together. And I want to give you a little bit of a hint. I don't want it so close, because this has to be slightly larger than this. And we didn't actually make it that way. But I've noticed if you, okay, so right here is the end of the paper or cardstock. And right here is the corner. It's what, 1/16 of an inch or less. It's just a little bit. So if you can keep that in mind, so that when you close the box, you don't have a tremendous amount of buckling in here. You might have a little bit if you didn't get it quite right, but you should be good. And also, sometimes that means that you have a little bit of the box going past, and all you do is clip it off. Yeah, I made it sound so easy. There we go. Clip it off. That one didn't have any. Sometimes the bottom does. And nobody would notice it, and you could just not do it, but I kind of have to check things out like that because it makes me crazy. All right, there we go. So let me put my paper piecing tool away so nobody gets hurt. And put my scissors away. I believe I'm done with those. Get rid of my garbage. So we have video time watching me clean up, but that's okay. All right, so now we're going to put the DSP on. And yes, I could have put it on before when it was all flat, but I don't have any problems putting it on like now. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this down, and I'm going to use our liquid glue, which I love. It doesn't seem like a big bottle, and as many boxes and stuff I make, I think I made 36 boxes for Christmas this year, and I still didn't make it all the way through one of the mono adhesive. So it really does go a long way if you consider that's a pretty tiny stream of glue. So, and we go ahead and put it down. The other advantage is that you have time to move it around if you don't like where it is. So that's always handy dandy. Okay, so one more. We're going to put this on to make sure we get our directional right, since we went to all of that trouble to cut it out that way. And I think I'm slightly out of screen. I am. All I'm doing is putting on glue, so it's like not super exciting. And our glue will not get stuck if you leave it open for a little bit. Now, not overnight, but it does give you some time to kind of maneuver and not have to worry about closing it up every time, although I'm still kind of in that habit. But anyway, you don't need to. So there, isn't that pretty? All right, now we are going to put the glue aside, because the next thing we need to do is to use some of our mini dots, glue dots, and put them on. Oh, I need my tool again. put them on some magnets. Now, you can go online and get these. These are earth magnets. They're really small. I think, let's see, they're a 1/4 of an inch and very thin, like a 32nd. And they have a definite positive and negative side. When you put the first one down, it doesn't matter. And I can tell you it's probably easier if you go inside, kind of center it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Put it in, let it sit, and then press it. All right, so it's in there. Now, we have to make sure that when we put the one we need here, not only is it in the right place, but it also has to have the right polarity. So you drop it down on the magnet, and that makes sure that the polarity is correct. And then you just add the blue dot on top. Bring this down so it's where it belongs. Press a little bit. Gently open it up, usually, and it did not this time, of course, because I'm filming. And there you go. So you have it on now, because it usually separates fairly easily. Give it a good press, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. So there's that. Now we have to decorate the front, put the sentiment on, etc. So I'm going to put that off, oops, to the side. I guess we can get rid of this now. We don't need that. I am going to put the glue dots away for a little bit. We're going to play with flowers. And we used, I think I told you, Perennial Flowers Punch, which I've already got them punched out in 2 different colors, Flirty Flamingo and Pale Pink. No, Petal Pink, I'm sorry. I knew that was wrong as soon as I said it. And then the Sprig Punch, which I did in Old Olive and Mossy Meadows. So I pre-punched them. And the other thing we're going to use is, this is in the new catalog, the Perennial Essence Floral Centers. So what we're going to do first, we're going to use this mat to glue things together. The first one I put down is the darker one. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of this one. And I'm not doing anything to it. I'm just going to make it be opposite, essentially. And again, you have time to move it. All right. And I didn't glue down the petals, just the center. And we're not going to do a lot with the petals, but we are going to try to curl the next layer. Oops, I just threw my flower. The next layer, be careful not to do this. I was doing this and not paying attention, and I went wild and I pulled the petal off. So that obviously doesn't work. See, we make mistakes. And I think I'm just going to put one more color on it so it's not too busy. But again, what you're doing is you're softening up the paper and allowing it to curl. It's kind of like when you do ribbon with scissors. This is a softer edge than scissors. Scissors will probably work, but you may also cut it more often than you intended to. So, and as you can see, I'm not making it like really done a lot. And then I'm going to use this. And again, just do the center. And I'm probably going to put this kind of off center of the 2 of them, kind of in between. I still want to center it. And then I'm going to take the center, oops, those little things bounce, and take off the tape that's on there. I think I am. This is the first time I've used these. These are new and in the catalog. You can't even get them yet until June 4th. Whoops. I told you they bounce. And I'm going to put that right in the center of the flower. There we go. I'm liking that pretty much. And it's got all of the colors that are in here. And then I'm also going to put some sprigs behind it. And this is where the splat mat comes in handy. I'm just going to put some of this here. And if it's on, if it gets on the splat mat, that's okay. Because it cleans up real good, which your desk doesn't always do that well. I think I'm going to use a lighter one, which is the Old Olive, believe it or not. I always thought of Old Olive is a really dark color, but it's not. I'm going to lay it down. To me, this is the easiest way to get them there. You can pick it up and play with it too, and you don't need it all glued. So I'm just going to kind of put it like that. And the fact that this has got a little glue on it is fine, because that is going to dry clear. And then I'm thinking, I don't know, here, I'm bring the box here. Maybe just like that, yeah. Okay, so back here, my fingers get sticky. Right here, right here, right here. And we'll put it kind of opposite there and pick that up. Now, on the back of this, I'm going to let this dry a little bit while I work on the sentiment, but on the back of this, I'm going to use some Pop Dot Dimensionals, Stampin' Dimensionals. Now, I've already stamped this. Thanks for being you. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back, and then I'm going to center it in the pretty blueberry bushel. All right. And what I was thinking was, and see, this is totally different, and I hadn't tried it out before, so we'll find out together if this looks good. I think I'm going to just do, yeah, like that. All right, so this needs Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm probably going to put 3 or 4, depending on how many, probably 4. And I've got them rather tight, but I want them to be elevated. Another thing, if you have a hard time getting these off, if you stick your fingernail or something that's sharp right here, it tends to lift up the paper, which makes it easier to get the tool underneath. And you can try some of those tips at home, see if they work for you. Sometimes I hear tips and they make perfect sense, and I try them and they just don't work for me. So you'll just have to try this and see if it works for you. Come on. So half the video is going to be me trying to fight with the glue. No. Oops, I didn't make my little mark. Oh, it matters. Comes up much better. Okay, so I got 4 pop dots, and I want them like this, right about there. I'm just kind of putting them down. And then I'm also going to put them on here. I call them pop dots. That's an old term. These are Stampin' Dimensionals. I was actually a demonstrator for 10 years, and then I had 2 kids that were crazy active and all kinds of things, and I kind of put it aside. But as soon as I retired, I knew what I wanted to do, and that was to go this way. I got tired of trying to find 2 blues that match, or 2 reds that match, or 2 of anything that matched. And one of the great things about Stampin' Up! Is that everything is color coordinated, which is fantastic. I do not have to worry whether my blues will look good on this paper, because the answer is, yeah, they'll look wonderful. All right, so there you go. There's our box. It's got a little magnetic closure. There's a magnet in there. It doesn't bother anything. It'll hold anywhere between 4 and 6 envelopes and cards, depending on how dimensional you make them. If you make something like this on one of the cards, you'll probably get 3 or 4 in there. So that's up to you. I hope you enjoyed yourself stamping along with me. Please come and visit me at my blog, stampmesilly.com. Silly, because I am silly. We have a Silly Sunday newsletter that I put out. I post every Sunday night. And if you want to order any of the products, some of these being only available on June 4th and after, you're welcome to go out to my site. If you go to stampmesilly.com, down at the bottom, it'll give you the site to where you can purchase products, and it takes you out to my Stampin' Up! Website, where you can either order or look at the catalog. If you want a catalog, I'd be more than happy to send it to you. Please email me. Again, it's jan@stampmesilly.com, and give me your complete address. There's no charge. I send it out to you free. So let me know if you're interested. And if you like to, you can follow me, and then every Sunday when I post something, or more often if something comes up, you'll find an email that'll notify you that I've posted something. I really appreciate the time that you spent with me today. I had fun. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.